Well, Mikel, so much dominance, so much control. Why do you think you didn't get your full rewards for that dominance and control?
Because when we have them there with the first half that we done, that were exceptional in the high press, in the direct play, because they didn't want to play, how we recuperate the ball and then play forward, how we have them there, our counter press, everything. But we like to put the knife there in the last 20, 25 meters to test much more the keeper, because we have some unbelievable situation that we missed the last shot, the last pass. Okay, and then one action is a long ball. We lose the man as regain, and then they are running. And you have to rely on a free kick and individual quality. That's not a good bet for us. They score from that, and then they become alive because we have them. And in the second half, we scored the goal, and when they're really deep, and they had really a lot of problems, and you could sense that they were tired. We didn't capitalize because we rushed the game. We give so many balls away, no circulation. We start to lose duels, and we could have ended up losing it.
So it was mentioned in commentary, actually, 2/3 of the pitch, best team in the league, perfect, kind of as you've said there. So why was that knife, that incisive moment missing in the final third, do you think?
Because that's sometimes what is missing, and we tried in various ways, but ultimately the execution there, it has to be in the right moment, with the right weight of pass, into the right player to have to execute. And it's true that we have a lot of situations in the second half. I think we have 3 or 4 big chances, but very frustrated as well how we conceded certain transition moments is not good enough.
So Declan Rice stood here and said something very similar, particularly the last 10 minutes. Yeah. He was talking about just doing things that you never do. What happened there?
Taking goal kicks there. We were catching the ball. We want to run, give the ball away. Then there's another transition, another wave, which against them is just a shot in your foot, because they have so much quality that they're going to pick the right player, and normally the game should end up with a goal of Bruno.
So does that frustrate you most, actually, just that, whether it's the last part of the game? It's like, I don't recognise my team here.
It happens, so it's part of us, so we have to get better at that.
What did you make of the free kick? You already mentioned the conceding of the free kick. It comes from like a hopeful long ball. Does that annoy you more than like the strike itself?
Yeah, the way we give the ball away, yes. And then, okay, you give the foul because you are rushing. Then he still needs to do that, but you know, and we discussed that. Don't give them the option, because it's very likely that this is going to happen.
Was Bruno's job made easier by a wall that was far away from the ball?
I don't know that.
No, are you not mindful of that at all? Because it's been raised by United players. It was raised by Declan. So it's 11.2 yards.
Then he's been very smart. I'm sorry. He's been smart, and he took advantage of that. This is football.
No, okay, I mean, I raised it because I thought you might expect the referee to deal with it.
Well, yeah, I do.
And it makes the free kick's job easier.
He's smarter than the ref. That's okay. They allowed him to do it.
Okay, so how difficult was it second half then against that low block? Do you think frustration plays a part in the mistakes that start people?
Because you are so good in the first half, you do so many good things, and you go 1-0 down. And mentally, it's painful, but we tried, we went for it, we scored the goal, we were really trying, but as well, we opened the gate to lose the game, and the game was completely closed. There was no chance we could lose the game, and we opened it up ourselves.
Do you excuse the players a little bit at least when you look at the concentration of injuries you've got in that forward line? Obviously Martinelli comes on, but no Saka, no Havertz, no Jesus.
I mean, I will defend my players all the time, because the will to do what they want is no question about that. But in those moments, we have to be better as a team. That's it.
And do you regret not signing a striker in January? Perhaps that extra player? No, it's not about that?
No, it's not about that.
Okay, Mikel, one more. Yeah. I have to ask you about the title race, because it's 15 points now. Is it too much? Right.
No, was the response, I think, to the question. Gary Neville has joined us, as you can see. We've got 3 former managers here who've been in pressurised situations of various sorts. But what did you make of that?
He was agitated, wasn't he? I mean, he's agitated walking over towards the Arsenal fans at the end, and I can see why. I know what he's saying about the first half, about how well they played. They dominated the game, but it's not line ball, where you have to basically run the ball over the 18-yard line and put your foot on it to basically score a goal. You need to put the ball in the back of the net, and he knows that better than anybody. I think Arsenal, for a couple of years, have done that really well. But the biggest inquest at Arsenal at the end of this season will be, why did we not sign a striker? Now, is that because he wasn't provided with one by the recruitment team? They haven't signed one now for 2 or 3 years, and did he not want one? Is that the answer? But they're I don't know. It's a mystery as to how they've ended up in a position whereby it's all on Kai Havertz, because he doesn't fancy Gabriel Jesus as a striker anyway. And the same stuff that we saw and seen for quite a long time now with Arsenal is that they're recycling the ball really well around the edge of the box, but they haven't got that ability to be able to cut through teams, and it's costing them.
ultimately, Paul, is that how this season is going to be defined by Arsenal? That failure to have a striker, someone who can step in when they have suffered these injuries?
Yeah, I would have said so. I think because if you look at the games that they've, no disrespect to West Ham, Nottingham Forest and Man United, I think if they got their full team out and the three forwards playing in Saka, Martinelli and Havertz, I think they take 7 points at least out of them 3 games instead of 2. But I still don't think that's enough to have caught Liverpool. I think we're just covering over the cracks a little bit, if I'm being honest.
I agree.
I'm with Jamie. I don't think it's been great this season. I don't think they've been as dominant in football matches as what we've seen them in the last couple of years. I think they've fallen off a little bit, in my opinion.
But is that because he hasn't had the tools?
No, they weren't playing the way they had all their team at the start of the season. There wasn't that efficiency or that calmness or that ability to kill teams off we've seen in previous years this season. I thought they were so reliant on set pieces. That's obviously not working at the moment. I don't think that there's been a joy in Arsenal's play this season compared to last year before. And if you go back to the year before that, when they had Xhaka in midfield as well, I just don't see it. This year there's been a lot of, and even with Bukayo Saka, there were games at home when they couldn't finish teams off. They haven't been at the level they have in previous years, I don't think.
And 10 draws, is it? 10 draws, you're not winning any league title with 10 draws.
So what does that come down to, do you think, Roy? Is it the makeup of the squad? Is it the approach of a head coach who has only known progress so far in his 5 years at Arsenal?
Yeah, a bit of everything, and I'm sure there would have been frustration from the last few years that they didn't get over the line or they didn't get themselves a cup or whatever it might be. And then you've the injuries, and then we saw the manager there. He certainly looks frustrated. He, when obviously the title was gone a few weeks ago, but he would still want his club and his team to show great mentality. To say, I still want to come here and try and keep some sort of pressure on Liverpool. But over the last 2 or 3 games, that's gone now. And we mentioned it earlier. I think the biggest concern now is what's happening with the teams behind him. They've lost that momentum for the season. I think what we saw here today was nowhere near good enough. And they've set really high standards the last few years. So on one hand, you want to give them credit, but we always say the next step is the hardest step in terms of trying to win a league title.
Well, do you think it's a matter of time, Gary, before they make that next step?
Well, maybe, but why was he so agitated when Patrick asked him that question about the striker? Normally when you see a manager act like that and he sort of walked off the... I mean, he seemed to walk off. That's what I looked like.
Maybe that's a frustration that it didn't happen. Maybe he really wanted it to happen.
But that's my point. You know, if you see a manager sort of... losing, it's going a step too far, but walk off at an interview when he's being asked a question, you normally think that something's sort of getting to them, it's coming on top a little bit. Is he sick of being asked that question? Does he think that's too simple an answer that he hasn't got a striker? But the fact of the matter is it'll still continue to be asked. The reason it'll continue to be asked is because there are hundreds of thousands of Arsenal fans who for many months and years now have said we need a striker. You know, us in this studio or Patrick Davison who's asking him a question, Arsenal fans, and you can't kid football fans, they know their team as well as anybody. They need a striker. They needed a top-class striker in that changing room, and I do think a top-class striker would have made a big difference. I agree with what they've said here, that actually the step up in performance, but Liverpool can not play well. And because of their options up front, can win games. Yesterday, they can be 1-0 down against Southampton. You were watching the game, Merce, on Soccer Saturday, and I was listening to you. And they can just, through moments of Diaz, Nunez, others, win games. You know, they've got options off the bench. Mikel Arteta has not got those options.
Would you sit there with confidence, Jamie, and say that next season, OK, if they sign a striker, that Arsenal will be challenging for the title?
Yeah, they will. Yeah, absolutely. I'm confident in that. I think, but they've got to start an elite striker. And the problem is, how hard are they to find? It's incredibly difficult. No one really wants to sell their best player. They always get spoken about with Alexander Isak, who is obviously elite, because obviously you see the goals he's got and how he plays. But it's not going to be that easy. Do you think that Arsenal are going to be the only players in town, even if he were to leave Newcastle? Barcelona are talking about wanting him as well. There's been a load of clubs that will want him. But they've got to find someone. Is it Sesko as well? They've been mentioned in trying to get... But it's just a case of, I think the guy said it earlier on, a striker. Because even though Kai Havertz has done well, they signed him as a number 8. They signed him as an extra midfield player. Then you ask him to go and be a killer in the box. And yes, he had some good moments, but is he an out-and-out striker that's going to get you 20 goals? Is he going to get you Salah's numbers? That's what they've got to try to find. And if they do, with their defensive stability, they've got a really good goalkeeper that we all like, and midfield, they will certainly go close next season.
Roy, you said the next step is the hardest. Do you have confidence that they will make this step under Mikel Arteta?
No.
Why not?
Why would I? What makes you think they can do it? Or the manager can do it? They've got close over the last few years, and City will be strong next year. Listen, I'm sure Liverpool will be strong next year. Where's the evidence to think they can do it? Would it be get another striker in? Yeah, obviously that would help. Have they got the right mentality? Has this manager, we just seen there at the interview, getting frustrated, which is fine, because you see a different side to managers when they're winning every week. It's great. We've seen that even with Pep. But all of a sudden, when they're losing matches or they're not getting the rewards they think they deserve, they get all agitated and frustrated. And that's fine. I've been there and done it. But what is the evidence to think that if they get somebody to get 20 goals, that we'll sit there and go, well, that'll be the difference. I don't think it necessarily will be.
I suppose the evidence might be that they got 89 points last season, 85 the season before. It looks like they will fall short of this season because of the injuries they had.
Yeah, so...
If they get those players back and they can add to that group.
Yeah, of course, all ifs and ands. But again, do you think City and Liverpool are just going to stand still? They're going to keep looking to improve. Listen, Pep will bounce back. I think Liverpool will be stronger next year. These teams aren't going anywhere, and they've had a bit of a dip this year, particularly Man City. We don't know what Chelsea are. We don't know what one or two other teams improving. But what's the evidence again from the Arteta or this group of players that they've got that mentality to challenge? We talk about it's not like challenging for a title, but to me, in my mentality, it's about winning titles, not challenging.
It feels a bit like whack-a-mole for them, really, doesn't it? Whereby they're just always sort of like... The first season they didn't win, it was because they didn't have Saliba and they needed someone to back him up, so then they signed defenders. Last season it was because, so they go and sign players that, you know what I mean? It feels like they're always behind. This season it's because they haven't got strikers or attacking players, so they're going to go and say... But the other teams are still improving, as Roy says. The other teams are still getting better. So I think that it's not just about a striker, it's probably about a couple of forwards. Liverpool have forwards that can play across...
Options, yeah,
forward options that can play across that front line, that will score goals and chip in. Gakpo chips in, Diaz chips in, Nunez chips in, Jota chips in. They all chip in with goals. Salah does more than chip in, you know what I mean? But a couple of forwards to add to that group and keep the defence and midfield as it is, they have got a chance, but are they going to get those players? And they always feels like they're one step behind.
Paul, just have the final say on this in terms of what Roy's been talking about, that perhaps Roy has a lack of conviction about them taking that next step with Mikel Arteta. What's your take on that?
I think they'll be in the title race next season. I think they've got to buy in the summer. They have to buy, and they will be in it if they don't get injured. If injuries, I said it before, if Van Dijk was out for 3 months and Salah were out for 3 months, Liverpool wouldn't be top of the league and lost one game. They make differences. You're never going to get a squad like Man City assembled over the last 3, 4, 5 years. That's never going to happen again. So you're going to have to rely on players coming into the team, whoever they may be. Liverpool at the moment have got their team, and as Gary said, them forwards, that's why they're going to win the league. They've all got at least 10 goals and Salah's got 20 or 30 in him. They've got to rely on players to come into the team that are not going to be better than what they've got. And at the moment, the front three, we've got a young kid who's going to be a superstar. We've got Trossard, who really was brought in as an understudy, and a centre midfield player playing up front.
What about
would
Sterling,
never happen in any other country.
What about Sterling? I mean, Mikel wanted him in, and then he's left him on the bench for 90 minutes at Old Trafford, and they need a goal.
I thought today would have been all right. I thought it was a tight game. He gets the ball and he can dribble. Do you know what I mean? He might get a nick, a free kick, and if I was Sterling now, you'd be thinking, will I be playing for Arsenal ever again?
Yeah, but the question is, you were saying, will they be in the race? I think they will be in the race.
They'll be in the title.
Could be in the race if you're not going to win it.
Well, you've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, but listen, we're talking about Arsenal here. Listen,
I haven't won the league for over 20 years.
No, that's why I'm saying. So why are we sitting here thinking, we could say that for the next 10 years they'll be in the race, but it's not good being third, fourth. Who do you think is actually going to go and win it?
Roy,
That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about small clubs here.
But I thought
Forest might finish ahead of them.
They've demonstrated, I think, last season and the season before that they've got hallmarks of a team, I think, that can go on to win the title, a little bit like the progression that Klopp made at Liverpool. And I'm disappointed in them this season that they've fallen short. When City aren't there, and I thought Arsenal would be there. And to be fair, Liverpool have had a fantastic season, but they've not delivered this season. This is the biggest problem, I think, this season for Mikel Arteta. Losing the title last season and the season before, I don't think was that much of a problem for him.
Do you think this one will hurt even?
This one will hurt more. This one will hurt more.
They were in a great
Because of
position.
what Man City
They were in a great position 3 years ago. So they've been in good positions where they've had people scoring goals. And was it 2 or 3 years ago? People said, they're out of the FA Cup. It's great. I'm glad they won easily in Europe during the week, because if they had a tough game coming up, they'd be saying, we're getting ready for next week. They had no excuses coming to United today. Yeah. Everything was there for Arsenal to go, listen, you've had a good win during the week. You don't have to worry about next week. You can come and put a show on. And obviously United were on about the intensity. I think there was one booking in the game. You got to turn up and flex your muscles and say, we're Arsenal, we're doing well, we're making progress, we've had a tough season, but we still do a good job on you. Didn't even do a job on United today. And United were there for the taking. United were just sitting and hoping for the best. They couldn't even do that. So why do we think next year this Arsenal team might get a striker in and they're going to win the league title? Well, I won't be putting any bets on Arsenal next year, let me tell you that. Not what I saw today.
Well, Manchester United have actually gone up a place. They're up to 14th now. With Arsenal today, given they scored 7 in Eindhoven in the week, was that wrong?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was covering over the cracks in midweek. I mean, before that, as I said before, I see them at Leicester. They scored 2 in the last 10 minutes. Leicester letting goals everywhere, left, right and centre. Never looked like scoring against West Ham. Never really looked like scoring against Forest. And I just thought, you're playing in the top league in the top league in the world, in my opinion. You're playing for one of the top teams in the league, and you've got no centre forward. No centre forward. I mean, you're asking Mourinho to go up there and play. He come on and got 2 against Leicester. Yeah, they were the last 10 minutes. Good finishes. But you're not going to win the league with him playing up front. And he looks lost up front. He doesn't give you a presence, doesn't give you anything up front. And it's so important, a centre forward. No team ever wins anything without a good centre forward. And Arsenal are suffering at the moment. And I think it's a worry now to the end of the season. You know, because I look at the games and I think they got to score goals and there's no goals in them. And it's starting to get a little bit tight there. And then Man City have got some nice fixtures coming up. And it wouldn't be surprised me, Man City, I think, are in 5th at the moment, that they could catch Arsenal.
We will develop that point as time goes on this evening. We're here till 7:30, perhaps even beyond. But let's get our first reaction from downstairs. Declan Rice, who scored the equalising goal, is with Patrick Davison.
Well, Declan, you gave everything to try and drag your team over the line, but in the end, as you stand here now, does it feel like just not enough?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the first half, some beautiful bits of play, just didn't have that clinical cutting edge. And then second half, we've done things that we've not done all season. You know, we was very naive in the last 10 minutes and could have easily have handed the game to Man United because, you know, they have got that individual quality and threat. And like I said, we've done things that we haven't done all season, and it was a bit of stupidity from us. But look, to get back in the game, to score and to keep pushing. You know, we had another chance with Martin at the end. It was a real end-to-end game, and it's probably a fair point in the end.
So first half, for kind of 2/3 of the pitch, completely dominant. Yeah. Where was that cutting edge? Is it explained by the absence of Martinelli for kind of most of the game? Saka, Havertz, Jesus?
Well, look, I think we scored 7 midweek, and that wasn't any luck. You know, PSV had not lost at home for 2.5 years, and we was full throttle. And today, we tried with the same intention, same threat. But Man United, credit to them, they sat in a low block and defended well. And sometimes it takes, a full 90 minutes to break down that low block. And, you know, we only managed to get one. We did have a couple of other half chances, but it just wasn't enough creativity today to get us over the line. So, like I said, I think in the end that's probably a fair point because there wasn't much in the game.
Yeah. Your view on the United goal? A little bit of chat in our studio about the gap from the ball to the wall.
Yeah, I've not seen the goal back. It felt like a couple of us jumped and some of us didn't. But I've actually not seen it back. It felt like the ball flew over us quite a low height. So probably from the Wolves' perspective, could have done a lot better. I've not seen it back yet, so I'm going to look.
But no sense for you that you felt quite far back, and it gave Bruno the room to get it.
That's why Anthony said that it did feel far back, because even on our free kick, when Martin took it, they felt far back as well. It seemed more far back than usual, but you know, Anthony's the ref. He makes that decision, and like I said, I've not seen it back yet, so I can't comment on that.
Fair enough. Look, we've seen you in recent weeks actually getting into the box a lot, producing a lot of threat. Talk us through your goal. It's a lovely strike.
Yeah, I was happy. I think that me and the man...
You looked happy, actually.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of banter, football banter between me and the fans. But look, it's an area that I want to keep, getting in. In more recent weeks, I've been making more runs. I've had way more energy about making them off-ball runs, and the ball's been dropping to me a lot more. I've been creating a lot more chances, and to get the goal today was a real nice feeling. But I need to keep adding goals, and that's what the manager wants to play me number 8 for, to create, assist, score goals, and I want to keep doing that. So yeah, it was a good goal.
So, lovely goal. Were you almost as happy with that challenge on Højlund towards the end? Has that got a little fist pump as well?
Yeah, I think that's just as big for me as scoring the goal. That's that defensive mentality in my head as well. That obviously I just reacted. If I would have reacted a second later, Højlund puts that probably in the back of the net, and it was just that quick reaction in my brain, and he showed me a little bit of the ball, and obviously with the long legs managed to get round it, but could have been a penalty and potential red. So it's one of them where it's a 50-50, but I had to try and put my foot in for the team, and lucky enough I made the tackle.
What were those things that you started doing as a team those last 10 minutes that you haven't done all season?
Just trying to second balls, was trying to flick balls when the ball was dropping, losing our runners, trying to play out from the back with patterns that we never do, and playing Man United, into their press perfectly. And See the chance at the end with Bruno and David making 2 amazing saves. That's where I speak about that naivety of the last 10 minutes. It could have easily have gone in their favour because other than that, them last 10 minutes, obviously plus Bruno's goal, I didn't see him creating a lot, but it was down to us and we could have thrown the game away then.
And last question, 15 points now to Liverpool. I know you won't give up, it's not in your DNA, but it's too much, isn't it?
Look, like the manager said, we'll keep going, we'll keep giving everything we've got until the end of the season. Obviously Liverpool have been amazing all year, credit to them, but it's not over yet. We need to keep pushing. We're Arsenal, we've been hit hard by injuries, we've adapted the best we can, and we still believe in ourselves, believe in everyone, and we've just got to keep playing the games and still a lot to play for this year. So just keep pushing and have the right mindset, and I'm sure we'll be all right.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Of course they need to keep pushing, but as we reiterated, 85 points is their maximum now, which leaves Liverpool needing a maximum 16. Is it all over?
Yeah.
Really answered the question a couple of weeks ago when they were still in a closer of a shout.
Yeah, I mean, they're fifth in the league and nearer to Arsenal than what Arsenal are to first. I mean, in my opinion, I'd be saying now we've got to concentrate and make sure we get in the top 4. I mean, they're too far away. Liverpool got to lose virtually half of their football matches. They've lost 1 all season. It's not going to happen. The league's over. It's finished.
When the players speak after the games, he's talking about we just didn't have any cutting edge. You've got to have cutting edge. Cutting edge is very, very important. It's like as if to say, well, once we get that back, but if you've lost that cutting edge and you're not scoring goals, or you don't look like you're going to score goals, then forget about closing any gap on Liverpool. I agree. I think you should be more worried about the teams coming up behind you. Because cutting edge at this level, we've seen it, the amount of times they had possession in United's final third, but we never thought they were certainly going to score 2 or 3 goals. And that's a big part of football.
Why does it go from having cutting edge one game, which they did midweek?
Because they play against a really poor side.
Well, to Declan's point, they haven't lost at home for 2.5 years.
Yeah, and
they've beaten Liverpool, all right, a weakened Liverpool, but Juventus as well.
But that just shows you, I think, the level of this league is really relentless. And don't get me wrong, I think what Manchester United did, they sat deep, made it really difficult for them. But when I think about Arsenal at their best, I think about real pace on the counter-attack. And any time there's any space, when you've got Bukayo Saka, when you play with Trossard and Pedro Marino, you haven't got that pace that's really going to... You're not really going to worry about it. Waneri on the right gives you something, but in that respect, that means you can always go out and double up against him. And they haven't. He summed it up perfectly. It's a perfect analysis. We haven't got that cutting edge with the players they've got right now. And they're not playing at that level, and they're not threatening teams. They're playing lovely football, intricate passes, but unless they're going to score from something from outside the box, the set pieces have dried up. So nothing really is going Arsenal's way. And I agree, they've got to be careful what's going behind them.
You're saying they scored 7 during the week, but they didn't have any swagger about them today. They had nice bits of possession. But if anything, at the end, you're thinking United are probably going to win it. And United have been dreadful all season. They've produced in 3 or 4 games, United, but you felt sitting there. So I'd be looking at Arsenal's mentality and their swagger going, where was it? You come to United, you must smell that United here for the taking. United were sitting in and hoped, obviously, on the counter-attack. But Arsenal didn't show that. They went streetwise, and at the end they were really open, and United probably should have won the game.
But how do you explain that? That sounds like it's a mentality issue.
Well, it might be. It might be. So we're praising Arsenal the last few years, and they've done well and they've made progress. But the next step is always the hardest one. So this idea of the last few years going, they've made real progress, they finished second, blah. Oh, if you're playing for Arsenal, remember, what could a second to you? If you're talking about winning league titles, don't compare it to United, but where they are. But the next step, getting over the line, is the hardest one. But I'm not seeing an Arsenal team here where they turned up today and you went, I tell you what, they were machine-like, they put United, they knew United were there for the taking, and they weren't even ready to take that step. So forget Liverpool. Be more worried about the teams coming up behind you. I wasn't happy with their mindset. And even Declan Duran was going, well, yeah, we got a bit stretched, we were playing patterns of play, and United probably should have won it at the end against a really poor United team.
A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Arsenal, I suppose, with some positivity in terms of the title race, and Liverpool potentially might have come unstuck with a difficult run of fixtures, certainly through February. But when it came to the crunch, Paul, this is when Arsenal, having beaten Manchester City so impressively, have dropped off, losing at home to West Ham United, failing to get through Nottingham Forest, and then dropping more points here today. As we said, they've dropped 7 points in the last 3 games. How do you explain that?
What Declan Rice, they've got no cutting edge. Mourinho had to come on in the last 10 minutes against Leicester and score 2 goals. And they were 2 good goals, don't get me wrong. Never really looked like winning the game before that. it's so hard. It's such an art playing up front. Everybody wants a centre forward. I get that, but to go and say to a midfield player, "You're going to go and play up front," is.
So ultimately, injuries, you're saying?
Oh, injuries,
that's
yeah.
what's
Oh,
just
yeah,
cost
injuries
up.
hasn't helped. It hasn't helped. Yeah, it hasn't helped. You don't think Liverpool would have only lost one game this season if Van Dijk was out for 3 months? No, they wouldn't have. They'd have lost more games.
Is that the part of a challenge for any big club? You have to deal with
You
setbacks.
have to deal with
everybody
because
knew
we're
that
fair,
they needed a striker.
Yeah, I mean, we had this with Arsene Wenger. Everybody knew that Arsene Wenger needed a centre half, but he'd never ever go out and get a centre half. You know, he put in a £60 million bid for Watkins, or meant to have in January. We'll go 65. It's 5 million. It's a cup of tea for Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Go 65, and if it takes 70, do 70. You know, but it's like we'll get by. And I know Arteta's a midfield player and was a very good midfield player. But I played up front my career. It's a hard position to play. It's a hard position. And when you're playing in a game like this where I don't like saying a low block, when they play 10 behind the ball, that's when you need that guy or a centre forward who's going to just pull off a centre half and then might get in the box at a near post, like Højlund did at the end there. He was unlucky. It was a great block. But that little bit of goal, they never had that. Mourinho, I can't really remember him touching the ball in the game. I'm sitting here now thinking, what did he do? And it's not his fault, don't get me wrong. And then you've got Wanyeri out on the right. He's 17. He's a kid. So he's going to be up and down. He's just played in Europe, in a European game. You know, the last 16 of the Champions League game. Then he's here. You know, Trossard was bought really, to be honest, to be an understudy to Saka and Trossard, to Saka and Martinelli. He's playing every week. So you think of that front three. Does that front three get in Fulham's team? No. And where are Fulham?
And if you're Liverpool,
does that front three get in front of Man United front three when Højlund's playing and people like that? So
you look where Liverpool are. Liverpool will be looking at that today, and they won't be thinking, "Oh, this team are going to hunt. They're going to try. They're going to push under pressure." Liverpool will be looking at it going, "I think Arsenal almost given up the title chase." The way that mentality ended, I was going,
Did it feel like that to you?
I felt like that watching. I'm thinking, "Come on, Arsenal, where's this?" And yeah, all that issue with striker, of course, and listen, everyone's looking for that striker and get you 20 or 30 goals. But I still thought there'd be that mentality going, well, we still get the job done. We still find a way to win. And if anything, it was the opposite. You had a Man United team here who must be low on confidence, struggling. We talked about protests before the game, strikers not in form, but they found a way. And if anything, at the end, you're sitting there going, I think United are probably going to win this. And they probably should have won it at the end.
And I think that is a difference when you think about what Liverpool got when they got Salah, Diaz, Nunez, Jota, players that are going to come off the bench, or if they're starting, they're going to affect the game. Szoboszlai adds goals, and if you haven't got that, Gakpo's been fantastic this season. They've got so many different players that can give you that goal threat. And I look at Arsenal and I think right now, who's going to get that goal? And it ends up coming from he was playing defensive midfield at the time when he scored his goal. So that's what they're lacking. They're really, and it's been apparent, and every single Arsenal fan knows it. So if you're going to make that kind of mistake, you don't make it as obvious what they are.
Oh gosh, some of these questions.
That must be the hardest part of being a manager.
Probably,
after a game, dealing with all those questions.
Yeah. That's probably tough for him because you can imagine he's probably boiling up inside. His season starts ages ago in respect of what he wants to try and do, what he's trying to achieve, what he's trying to build. I still feel like, and I won't stop thinking that he's been let down by the club in respect of getting him a striker, because I don't think we're a million miles away. And you know, then you have to do interviews like that where it can be quite frustrating.
And do you think that's the root of it when he sees chances going begging without that player on the pitch?
Well, the thing with it is Steve, everything what he's saying and what we're doing in respect of the ball retention we've got in the final third of the opposing team's half. Everything he's saying about we're doing great stuff, we're getting it in, but we haven't got no one to finish it off. If we had someone to finish it off, these conversations don't happen. Like I said, it's like 3 years and 5 winders, and we know that we've needed a striker. So I think a club of our stature trying to win the league at this point, and not having a striker to finish those chances is one of the main reasons why we won't do it again this season.
I mean, it was interesting the way he spoke about kind of the goal, because he's right. Up to that point, they were so dominant. United barely had a kick in the game. And United defended really deep. And then they realised, right, we're probably going to play long or get it up to Garnacho quite quick. And all it takes, watch this from Onana.
Yeah.
This is at the end of the half. All it takes is for Mazraoui to win a header. Beats Chalafori here. And then, boom. And then Garnacho's it. And you're in. All one ball. One ball, one foul, and
Edge
then
of
the
the
brilliance of Bruno. These little things, they add up in the game. This is how you win trophies. This is how you win, is the details. That long ball, and they didn't deal with it. The header and then the free kick. And then obviously Bruno smashes into the top corner. You have to praise the quality. But California's got to win that header, and Trossard can't foul. You know, you just can't foul that and give Bruno the opportunity to go win a game. So I think there'll be frustration with that from Mikel, because up to that point, United didn't have a kick really. And they allowed them back into the game, and then United grew into the game and actually played really well.
Like he said there, in the end, like Declan said, like Mikel said, the boss said there, you know, I think we're quite fortunate in the end, because we kind of lost our discipline in what we're doing.
He wasn't happy with that, was he?
No, he wasn't, no, because we could have easily lost the game. You know, our goalkeeper saved us in this game. It's as simple as that in the end. You know, yes, we had a lot of great position in the first half. We couldn't quite capitalise. They, with very direct ball, you know, 2 touches there on the edge of the box, bam, they scored a free kick. They're in the game. And then towards it now, we're trying to go and win this game, where we've said, you know something, we've let them back in it. We need to make sure that we keep it tight. And this is, again, where if you've got a striker in it, you say, OK, let's keep it tight again, because we can see if we could create him another chance. And, you know, we're still going forward without that strike. Then they could have scored 2, maybe 3 goals in the second half.
And is that the belief sometimes that rubs off on the other players on the pitch? I've spoken to Liverpool players in the end of tight games say to me, listen, we know we're in the game because we've got Mo Salah up there, and Mo Salah can do that, and he's done it. Where if Arsenal had someone like that, mentally, when you're on the pitch there 15, 20 minutes...
You've got the half-chance taker, you've got the person who's going to, in the moment, take it. And this is what I'm talking about. You can pay as much as you want, but you've either got that or you haven't got it. At the moment, you're looking at players, like we mentioned earlier, Darwin Núñez or Højlund there, you know, and then we mentioned Isak. Isak's got it. Isak's got, you know, if I get half a chance in a vital moment in the game, there's a good chance he's going to take it. Mo Salah, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to take that chance. That's all Arsenal need right now, even with all the injuries. That's what they've needed. They've needed that, like I say, for 3 years now. So if you've got that player who can take that chance, Arsenal will be right amongst it.
But that gets players believing. You had that. You were in tight games, and then you looked up and you saw Rooney and Ronaldo and Tevez, and you thought, yeah, we can win this game because you've got game changers.
Oh, definitely. But you also have to give them the chance that you can kind of get that. I think Arsenal have everything. Defensively, set pieces, they've got everything. They really do. I just think, in a way, to be successful with the injuries that they have to play perfect. You know, they've got to slide perfect passes. And when United defend like they do, it doesn't work. Sometimes you just got to get the ball in the box. Even you win the second ball, little things like that. Look at that goal for United. Came from nothing. Long ball, win the header, free kick, and you're in. And I think Arsenal need to learn that. You don't have to win games to be perfect all the time. Just give yourself a chance. You got everything else. Put the ball in the box. Don't have to be perfect. And you find a way to win games. Literally, look, they get all the goals from set pieces, Steve. They tick every box. Just that one is the only one missing. And I think it's Lautaro Martinez, Osimhen, you know, Isak, whoever it's going to be, go spend the money and go get him, because you're right there to go win the biggest things.
Yeah. Which is, it sounds so simple, but that's what it is. We're talking about a global market, you know, and Arsenal are a global side. With millions of fans around. There's so many players. You've got to go and find this player. You know, because they're out there. Even we're talking about, like, the window. Look at Villa's window. Villa got exactly what they needed, and those 2 players now are making a massive contribution.
Difference makers, aren't they?
Absolutely. You have to go and do it. You have to find it. And like I say, that lies at the owner's door for me.
And they tried very late on with Ollie Watkins, but it's that type of player to come in and hit the ground running straight away to help them.
I think they're fortunate that Havertz and Saka didn't probably break down a little bit sooner. You know, you think back to last season, those boys were fit virtually all the time, but then eventually it comes to a point. These guys are playing 60 games a season, and they're young kids.
And is that the frustration for Mikel Arteta and the players, that actually, with the injuries, on paper, they're actually weaker than they were at this stage?
Yeah, they are,
last season, and they're still second.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's a slight on the league, or Arsenal doing... maybe, like you mentioned, overachieving in what they're doing. Maybe I'd like to say that they're overachieving, because with the injuries and everything what they're doing, to be second to Liverpool and do what they're doing in the Champions League as well, it is phenomenal effort. But like I say, sometimes it's just maybe a bridge too far.
The other side of the story is Liverpool have still only lost one league game. And as I say, when you look at Liverpool's remaining fixtures, now 16 points is the figure that they need. Of course, they might need less. That's assuming that Arsenal win every game. But 16 points from their remaining 9 is Liverpool's conundrum. And what a situation for Arne Slot's team to be. And that, of course, means everyone was talking about Arsenal going to Anfield weeks ago when the gap was just 4 points in May, that there's a huge likelihood by the time they go to Anfield, they'll be making a guard of honour for Liverpool as league champions.
But you know what, Steve, I think this Liverpool team is a great example of what Arsenal need to do. It's really simple. You know, they got different options, attackers at the top of the pitch, and they have experience in key positions. I think Arsenal still need a couple of experienced players. You look at Van Dijk, you look at Salah, you look at Alisson. Arsenal are really good, but they're still a lot younger, I think. And I think Liverpool now, they've showed that experience. They've been the best team by far. But because of the options that they have, they can rotate at the top of the pitch, and they have a guy like Van Dijk. The spine of the team is experienced in winning titles, and I think that makes a huge difference. Arsenal are this close, but I do think maybe like a Lautaro Martinez, who's won in Italy, they can help add an extra layer, like Declan's added a layer to this team. Can you get somebody in that's got experience of winning and getting over the line right at the end? Because Liverpool are going to win the league, but I think Liverpool are a good blueprint for what Arsenal need in terms of improving, getting 1 or 2, like Alisson, like Van Dijk, to take the next step.
I think that what's important as well with Arsenal is that player, what we do want to attract, that we've got players who are top players who are going to be coming into the last years of their contract as well, and then they're going to probably want to see what's happening this summer. And again, I go back to Andrea Berta in respect of his appointment and how important it is for him to get the kind of player in that's going to still inspire Saliba and Rice and Gabby Magalhaes and Saka. Those kind of players who are getting to a stage in their contracts where they're like, are we going to win something? Are the people upstairs going to back the manager for us to get to where we need to go? Because are we going to attract that player who wants to come and play with the calibre of those players who are being linked to teams like Real Madrid? So this has got to happen in the summer. It's got to happen really quickly in respects of us making that kind of statement from the board that we are ready to go to really try and win this league or win the Champions League or win something. That needs to happen for me in the summer.
That's a really good point, isn't it? It's not just about attracting other players, it's about keeping your top ones and showing them you've got the ambition.
Big time, because Wright is right. They've got 4 or 5 that everybody wants. You know, Saliba everybody wants, and he's a diamond. You won't find him again. Gabriel is super underrated, so they've got 4 or 5 that can get into. You want to keep them there, but again, you want to add pieces on top that go take us from here to the next step. They're this close. Just go for it. Otherwise, you'll have so many regrets about it.
Yeah. That's why I'm quite confident that in the summer they'll recognise that, because I did say I hope they don't wait till the summer to try and appoint a director of football. They just need to do it as soon as possible. So he's working now, getting ready for the summer, because I think it's a big summer for Arsenal.
Yeah. OK, well, we shall see what work they do. Righty, Owen, thank you very much indeed for your help. Well, of course, we saw Liverpool take on the bottom club yesterday and come from behind and win and get another 3 points. Arsenal today, we've watched get only 1 and drop points again. So, as you can see, that gap between the top 2 with Arsenal, with just 1 game in hand, is now 15 points. So, in terms of Arne Slot's Liverpool, they just need a maximum of 16 points now. I must interrupt your free kick clinic, Owen, because Declan Rice is went to speak to us live at Old Trafford, who, of course, got that equaliser. Declan, thanks for joining us. How do you view that in the end, 1-1?
Probably a fair point, if I'm being honest with you. Wasn't a lot in the game. I thought first half we passed them and moved really well, just didn't have that creativity and threat. And then obviously you give player Bruno, with the quality he's got, a free kick like that. Yeah, it was a great goal. So you find yourself 1-0 down. So then second half, we've got to give it everything. And luckily enough, I think we got ourselves back in the game, but it was a bit naive probably the last 10 minutes and could have thrown the game away with some silly mistakes from us. So probably look at it as a fair point, if I'm being honest.
Dex, how's the manager at half-time? What was he saying? Because we did seem to have a lot of possession. We did seem to be doing a lot on the edge of their box. What was his opinion of how it was going? What did he say?
More creativity, more threat. cause more chaos, more runs into the box, more crosses in the box, doing things to disrupt Man United because, they were comfortable in a low block, and we was passing the ball around really well, from the back phase up until the edge of the box. It was a lovely first half, but in football you need to score goals, and quite wasn't like PSV on Tuesday night where it was flowing like that. Sometimes you have to credit Man United's defence. They done really well, but also in the second half, when he said at half-time he demanded much more crosses and chaos, and we could have scored a couple ourselves, so it could have gone either way, like I said.
Declan, Nathan, just want to say congrats on that goal. What a beautiful goal that was, Firewall. What a great finish. And to be honest, it looked like you were enjoying making those runs, causing a bit of chaos in that first half. You were getting in behind, causing a bit of trouble for United.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of them things. Is this the goal? I've not seen it back yet.
Yeah. What a chop from Timber.
Well, it's well worth a watch, Declan.
Yeah, it's a nice sweep. It's head over the ball. Obviously, Onana, if I went inside, he probably saves that. Obviously, a bit of banter with the Man United fans. It's nothing. It's nothing personal. So look, I think it was a great goal, but obviously it's disappointing because to score and win is probably a nicer feeling than scoring and having a draw. So I'm happy with the goal, but yeah, I'm gutted we didn't get the 3 points.
Yeah, and you mentioned the end there. I mean, what about David Raya? Just to make sure you got a point.
Yeah, incredible. That's what I mean. I'm talking about the naivety there. The last 10 minutes, we were doing things we've not done all season, or in the time that I've been here. Playing into Man United's hands, trying to flick the ball out in areas that we never usually do, and they could have probably scored 2 or 3 in the last 10 minutes. So luck was on our side in that sense. Sorry, if I'm being honest, but like I said, I think it's probably a fair point.
And overall, all you can keep doing is in the Premier League is keep going, keep trying to win games.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, people are going to talk about Liverpool being top with a big margin of points, but look, we've got to keep going. We've adapted the best we can with the injuries we've had, and we've been on an unbelievable run with games and playing back to back since January with such a short squad. So to be where we are is really good, but we want more. We're Arsenal. We're demanding ourselves every day that we want to win the Premier League, and we'll never give up on that. We need to keep improving and keep pushing, and if it's not this season, it'll be next, and we've got to keep going and going and going and believing that we can achieve great things for this club. I think that's what everyone in the change room wants, and everyone wants to achieve.
Well said. Really appreciate your time. Thank you, Declan.
Thanks, well done.
See you later. Bye-bye.
That is Declan Rice live for you at Old Trafford after that 1-1. And what a really honest, staring answer that was at the end.
Yeah, but then you heard what he said about the chances and trying to make sure that you cause chaos and score goals. What I'm more worried about than anything else is hoping that we can get the players to come in of that level, because you can see what he's doing and what he's capable of doing. And I think that the problem you have is if a player like that who continually 8 out of 10 every week is doing that, and you're still not getting those players to finish it off for you, it can get frustrating for you. But we're talking about a proper pro there who just wants to win.
So you want a striker of that calibre?
You do.
That's what Arsenal need here now.
But we're talking about somebody who plays with someone like Harry Kane. He sees somebody gets one chance and scores. Yeah. You know what I mean? He knows that. I'm not saying you could put Harry Kane in this team. Obviously prime Harry Kane you put in this team, but you put a Harry Kane kind of style of player in this team, and Arsenal are going to be closer to Liverpool, no doubt about it.
If you'd had a Harry Kane type all season, do you think you'd be sort of level points with Liverpool now? Yeah,
with that kind of finishing, Harry Kane, absolutely. Finishing something out of nothing, free kicks.
That's a 15-point difference.
Absolutely. Harry Kane gives you easily 12 points up to by this point in the season. Harry Kane alone will probably give you those points that keep you right amongst Liverpool. Absolutely.
Declan is a diamond, honestly. The way he plays, the way he communicates, even there with us, thought he was amazing. But if you look at Arsenal, they have him, or they have that equivalent in every position. Goalkeeper, back four, midfield, Ødegaard, Declan, Saka. The only one they don't have is up there, and it's arguably the most important one.
It was the hardest to get, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. But the point is, there are guys out there. Osimhen's on loan in Turkey. Even if it's for 6 months, it gives you a little window to say, is it something, does it fit? It gives you an audition. You look at the business Aston Villa did in January. Marcus Rashford, Asensio, Disasi. Crazy amount of business. If you don't ask, you don't get. I just think Arsenal are this close to winning anything they want. But you're not going to do it without you're not going to maybe get Wright or Thierry or that. But you need somebody up there to take the load off Declan and Ødegaard and Saka and Martinelli. I really think they just need to push the boat on the summer and go for it.
OK, let's go back to Old Trafford. Scholes's been there all day for us, of course. Pitch side view. What did you make of that up close and personal?
Yeah, I agree with what Owen's saying there. I think Arsenal are probably the better football team, play some really nice stuff at times, but lack that real goal scorer in their team. And Ian Wright, football team, play some really nice stuff at times, but lack that real goal scorer in their team. And Ian Wright, who's in the studio there, you know, if he was playing in this team, I'm sure he'd be rubbing his hands together. But I think he was playing in this team, I'm sure he'd be rubbing his hands together. But I think as well, second half, I think United were a little bit unlucky. I think they had some good chances to win the game. They got up the pitch second half. A bit more preyed on Arsenal's mistakes a little bit. But for their goalkeeper, I think they could have won the game.
We're actually watching two teams today desperate for a top-class centre-forward.
I think a bit more preyed on Arsenal's mistakes a little bit. But for their goalkeeper, I think they could have won the game.
We're actually watching two teams today desperate for a top-class centre.
I'm really too sure what Xerxes brings to the team. Højlund obviously having his issues, so I think you're right. Both teams desperate for attacking players, and as much players Arsenal had, I never really felt threatened by them. And as much players Arsenal had, I never really felt threatened by them. The odd chance here now, obviously Declan Rice got a
that deep quite as much, but is that where they're at the moment in a game like this? Short-termism? That deep quite as much, but is that where they're at the moment in a game like this? Short-termism to get results?
Yeah, look, I probably did expect that, Steve. Needs to step up in these types of games where a much better football team than Manchester United. You see the way they take the ball, the way they make angles for each other. Odegaard again was an influence on the team, but I think he needs to step up in these types of games where you might just need that bit of brilliance. We've seen people in his position. You think of De Bruyne, Phil Foden, going back a few years. They win games for you. And Martin Odegaard is a brilliant footballer. I love to watch him, technically gifted, but at some point he's got to come and win these games for his club.
Scholes, you know, with Odegaard and the creation, you know, if you've got that striker up there who takes some of the chances where he's doing like the pre-assist and stuff like that, where he's starting things off, and you had that striker who finished it off, you think he'd get more credit for what he's doing? Because I just think that it looks like he's on the periphery of things, simply because by the time it gets in there, it fades.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think everybody knows what a quality player. Well, we all know, people who've played the game, watch him and you see how technical he is, how he takes the ball, how he receives it. It's brilliant to watch. It's silky to watch. It's almost a David Silva way. I keep going back to Manchester City, I don't know why. It's almost a David Silva way. He takes the ball. It's just beautiful. It's nice to see. But he needs help as well. He needs that forward. And to be fair, he's missing Saka as well. I think Saka is he's a big player for him. The amount of times he gets over to that right-hand side and he slips the ball through to Saka, them penetrating runs, he's missing a bit of that as well. So, look, a centre-forward it's a must for us. So we've said that for, how long we said that now?
5 years.
5 years, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it was quite that long, but I'll take 5 years. They need somebody. And it's all right going to the game in Madrid at PSV and scoring 7. I think it was different. Every goal scorer was a different player. But in these big games, that's where big centre-forward will win you games, and unfortunately, at this minute, they haven't quite got that.
Yeah. Scholes, do you think Arsenal sometimes, or teams, they try and play too perfect? Do you know, like, you try and make the goal too perfect? Sometimes just put the ball in the mixer. Do you know, like, everything was in front of United today, and I just thought they defended that quite well. Declan said they tried to create chaos with the runs, but actually, I don't think they created much chaos for United, did they?
No, I didn't see much chaos. I think first 20 minutes, I think Declan Rice did make some runs that maybe tried to be too perfect, as you said. No, it is with Arsenal. I think they're a brilliant football team. They're almost like a mid-table Spanish team, like a La Liga team who receive the ball, they play great football, as I said, they make great angles for each other, a little bit tippy-tappy at times, but they've got no real substance at the end of it. And if you're going to win leagues, if you're going to win Champions Leagues, you've got to have that bit of brilliance sometimes in the middle of the goal from a centre-forward, where it's a little bit of subtlety with a bit of movement, whether it's a rebound off a keeper, just somebody sniffing with them instincts, and you've got the perfect person next to you. He's just a little bit old.
He's seen his knee swelling today as well.
I meant you, Steve.
Scholes is just mid-table Spanish to solve it.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, but you know what I mean, though.
I do know what you mean. I know what
play
you're saying.
brilliant football, but it's just... It's the, look, the second in the league. They're in the Champions League, and they're a brilliant team. And probably, I wish my team were as bad as Arsenal have been today. Do you know what I mean? But that's just the way I see it. A mid-table Spanish team, a very good, very attractive-looking Spanish team.
A nice
just
one,
can't
Scholesy.
Quite get over the line.
Exactly. I'll give you that, Scholesy.
Now, and listen, United get a point to set them up for Thursday. It's their season, isn't it, Thursday? I mean, is that a little bit of belief to draw with Arsenal today, to take into that?
Yes. Look, I don't think the season's just on Thursday. You have to win Thursday, of course, and there's 3 more rounds to go after that. But yeah, look, that is massive for them. That is the season in a nutshell. The Europa League now, it's been a really disappointing league campaign, although they probably should have won today, and against the better teams, strangely enough, that they have seemed to find the performance from somewhere. We'll see what happens on Thursday. I thought they were quite comfortable over there in Spain, and I expect them to go through this week.
OK, thank you very much indeed, as always, Scholesy.
Cheers, lads. See you later.
Thanks, Scholesy.
Bye-bye.
Scholesy just off to Spain to do some scouting. No, joking. Right, when we come back, we will hear from Mikel Arteta